Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so let's start our class. As you can see, this is the course contents. To remind you again, okay, for the final exam is gonna be chapter 5, 6, 7, and 8. We already done with chapter 5, right? Okay, and today we're gonna talk about chapter 6. Okay, chapter 6 is going to be the story about ISLM and BP model. As you can see over here, we already learned about ISLM in chapter 4 in the midterm exam, and we already finished chapter 5 about ISLM also. And today we're going to going more further, okay? We're going to have ISLM, and today I'm going to introduce you the new curve, okay, which is called BP curve. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so for what we learned before about IS and LM model, okay, in the theory that we learned before, we focusing on the closed economy. Okay, we focusing on the closed economy, and if you still remember, IS curve is gonna represent, okay, the equilibrium point, okay, in output market. Okay, the IS curve represent equilibrium point in output market. So that's why we have the equation TE, total expenditure, equal to C plus I plus G. Okay. On the other hand, we have LM curve. LM curve is gonna represent equilibriums in, wait a minute, okay, equilibrium in money market. Okay, so you're gonna have like money demands, okay, equal to money supply. Okay, this is for LM curve. This is what you learned before in chapter 4 and chapter 5. And today, okay, the new chapter, chapter 6, we're gonna use ISLM model, but this time we're gonna apply it to the case of open economy. Okay, we're gonna apply to the case of open economy. So this one, okay, for the open economy, you learned it before in chapter 2, remember? Okay, you learned it before in chapter 2, the open economy. So we're gonna use many of the knowledge that you learned before in chapter 2, apply it here. So if you already forget it, I highly recommend you to going back and review chapter 2 again, okay? So for the open economy, okay, from the main equation of the GDP, Y equal to C plus I plus G. For the open economy, we're gonna adding X and M into the main equation. And X stand for export, M stand for import. Okay, we're just adding X and M into the main equation. And we can call X minus M as NX. Okay, do you remember? Okay, NX equal to X minus M. And NX come from net export. Okay, and X come from net export. Okay, and this I already showing you on the equation how X and M come from, how it's plugging in the main equation. Okay, how you got Y equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. I already show you everything in chapter 2. If you already forget it, make sure that you're going back and review it. Okay, and we already learned about, you know, when we stay in open economy country, we're gonna have the case that the money flow into our country. We're gonna have the case that the money gonna flow out of our country. Okay, if the money flow in too much, if the money flow out too much, they're gonna have the effects on E. Okay, and E, you learned it before in chapter 2. Okay, E stands for nominal exchange rate. Okay, nominal exchange rate. In this case, we stay in Thailand, so it's the meaning of the nominal exchange rate is 1 unit of our currency, 1 baht, equal to how many units of the foreign currency. In this case, 1 baht equal to how much of the US dollar. Okay, so this is the meaning of the nominal exchange rate. This is the exchange rate for the currency. Okay, And then in chapter 2, you already learned that from the main equation, y equal to c plus I plus g plus x minus m. Okay, we can do the math. Okay, we can do the math. From here, we can solve the equation. We did it before in chapter 2. Then we're gonna get nx equal to nco. Okay, this is, we already did it in chapter 2. If you forget it, go back and review chapter 2. NX stand for net export. NCO stand for net capital outflow. Okay, NX is equal to x minus m, and NCO equal to saving minus investment. So this equation is very important for the open economy. Okay, two sides of the equation have to be always equal. So they're gonna have two cases. Okay, it can be positive on the left equal to positive on the right, or maybe negative on the left equal to negative on the right. Okay, even though it's going to be the case of positive equal to positive or negative equal to negative, however, the meaning is the same. The meaning is, okay, the meaning from the equation nx equal to nco is means the money flow in have to be always equal to the money that flow out. So when you have the situation that the money flow in equal to the money that flow out, we call this situation as BP. That is come from balance of payment. Okay, we call this situation as the balance of payment. We use this as a BP. And you can imagine that we're gonna add this, we're gonna adding this concept. The concept of the money flow in equal to the money that flow out, the concept of we having the balance of payment, we're gonna adding to the model, the ISLM model. So we have IS curve, we have LM curve, and in this chapter, we're gonna adding BP into the model. Okay, so it's become, finally, it's become ISLM and BP model. And you should know that BP come from balance of payment, and balance of payment means money flow in equal to the money that flow out, which is come from NX equal to NCO. Okay, this is what you should know. Okay, so this is an idea. Okay, so let's start for the main theory. Okay, so we're gonna starting with IS curve. We're gonna apply IS curve to the open economy. Okay, we're gonna apply IS curve to the open economy. So starting with drawing the graph. I write now one graph on top and one graph below. On top is this is going to be the Keynesian clause. We have 45-degree curve. On the vertical is TE, stand for total expenditure. On the horizontal, you have Y for the GDP. Okay, and then every point on the 45-degree curve, TE always equal to Y. And then you have this graph. Okay, let's say TE equal to C plus I of R1 plus G plus NX1. This is equilibrium 1, Y1. So I just putting NX into the main equation. Okay, we have NX1. So basically, okay, from what we learned before, total expenditure equal to consumption plus investment plus government spending, and then I adding one more terms. Okay, I adding NX into the main equation, and NX come from X minus M. Don't be forget that. Okay, I just adding NX into the main equation of the total expenditure, because this time we're focusing on open economy. Okay, and then I'm gonna link it down to the lower graph. As you learned before, total expenditure in the output market can be connected to IS curve. So below I have Y on the horizontal and R the real interest rate on the vertical, and I have IS curve. This is point A on IS curve. The real interest rate equal to R1. Okay, this is the starting point. Okay, this is the starting point. So then, since I adding an export and import into the model, okay, which is inside the total expenditure, the next thing I'm gonna show you is how the NX gonna change. Okay, how NX is gonna change. The main factor that can change the level of NX is gonna be E. As you remember, E stands for nominal exchange rate. So if nominal exchange rate change, it can change NX. Okay, so we're gonna use the knowledge that we learned in chapter 2. Okay, again, nominal exchange rate is 1 unit of our money. 1 baht equal to how much of US dollar, the foreign currency. Okay, so case number 1, I'm gonna use the red color. Yeah, if nominal exchange rate going up, what does it mean? If the nominal exchange rate going up, it means that 1 baht we can get more US dollar. So it means that Thai baht becomes strong. Okay, Thai baht becomes strong. And you should know from chapter 2 that when Thai baht becomes strong, everything that produced in our country is going to become more expensive. So then we can export less. Everything that made outside our country is going to become cheaper. So we're going to import more. So in the end, NX, the trade balance become worse, become lower. Okay, NX become lower. When the nominal exchange rate going up, NX going down. When NX going down, it means that total expenditure gonna shift down. Okay, total expenditure gonna shift down. Can you close the microphone? Yeah, good. Okay. TE equal to C plus I of R1 plus G plus NX2. Okay. NX become lower. Total expenditure curve shift down. Equilibrium point change from E1 to E2. GDP reducing from Y1 to Y2. And from here, you can see that the real interest is still the same. Okay. R1, the investment, okay, I of R1 still the same. Okay. The real interest is still the same. So this is going to be the case that IS curve shift to the left for the whole curve from point A to point B. Okay, GDP reducing from Y1 to Y2. So here we can make the conclusion that when the nominal exchange rate going up, okay, total expenditure curve shift down, and in the end, IS curve shift to the left. Now I change to the blue color, okay, to doing the opposite case. Okay. If the nominal exchange rate going down, this one is mean that 1 baht can get less of US dollar. Okay, so it means that this is a case of Thai baht become weak. Thai baht become weak. When Thai baht become weak, what does it mean? Everything that I have some question in chat. Okay, good. Okay, so when Thai baht become weak, what does it mean is everything that made in our country become cheaper. Okay, when everything in our country become cheaper, everyone want to buy the product from us. We can export more. On the other hand, when Thai baht become weak, everything that made outside our country become more expensive. So we're gonna buy less product from the foreign country. Import gonna be lower. And all of this is good for NX. Okay, NX is gonna become increasing. So when the nominal exchange rate going down and X is going to be increasing, then it's going to affect total expenditure curve. Total expenditure curve shift up. So this is going to be TE equal to C plus I of R1 plus G plus NX3. Equilibrium point change from E1 to E3. GDP increasing going to the right from Y1 to Y3. And again, the real interest is still the same. So it's going to be the case that IS curve shift to the right from point A to point B. Okay, IS curve, oh, sorry, shift to the right from point A to point C. Okay, from point A to point C. Then we can make a conclusion. We can make a conclusion. If nominal exchange rate going up, it means Thai baht becomes strong. Okay, it's bad for the trade balance, and X gonna be lower, and then total expenditure for the whole country gonna be lower, and in the end, IS curve gonna shift to the left. Okay, this is what we learned. On the other hand, if the nominal exchange rate going down, it means that Thai baht become weak. Then NX become increasing, total expenditure in the whole country increasing, and in the end, IS curve gonna shift to the right. So this is a conclusion, okay, for IS curve. So what you learn from here is when we apply the IS curve to the open economy country, okay, the changing of the nominal exchange rate affects IS curve. The changing of the nominal exchange rate can shift IS curve to the left or to the right. Okay, this is what you should know. Next one, okay, LM curve. So LM curve represent money market. Okay, LM curve represent money market. So even though the whole economy is closed, okay, the whole economy is gonna be closed or open, okay, LM curve always be the same, okay. The economy gonna be closed or open is gonna be the same. LM curve is gonna represent the point that money demands equal to money supply. Okay, it's gonna be always the same. So for the case of open economy, LM curve still the same. Okay, still the same, just like before. Okay, same as before. Nothing changed. Nothing changed. Okay, so LM curve we don't have anything to adding. Okay, into the theory. Okay, next one. We're gonna talk about BP curve. This is a new curve. Okay, we're gonna talk about BP curve, and you should know that BP curve come from balance of payment. Okay, BP come from balance of payment. So the BP curve is gonna represent the point that the BP curve represent, okay, the situation that the money flow in gonna be equal to the money that flow out. Okay, the BP curve represent the situation that the money flow in equal to the money flow out, which is come from, this is from chapter 2, come from NX equal to NCO. And you should know that NX is X minus M and NCO equal to saving minus investment. Okay, this is how BP curve represent. Okay, BP curve represent the situation that the money flow in equal to the money flow out. Okay, NX equal to NCO. Okay, so let's start focusing on NX and NCO. Let me divide the whole page into two parts. Okay, on the left, we're gonna talk about NX. On the right, we're gonna talk about NCO. Okay, don't be forget that NX equal to net export. Okay, NCO equal to net capital outflow. Okay, so starting with NX equal to export minus import. So I told you before that the nominal exchange rate affects directly on NX, right? Okay, I told you before the nominal exchange rate affects NX. But here, okay, in this case, in the case of BP curve, I'm gonna give you more detail. I'm gonna tell you that import is gonna be high or low depend on Y. Okay, and you know that Y is a GDP. A GDP have three main meaning. GDP can mean the total output in the economy. It can be total income in the economy, and it can be total spending or total expenditure in the economy. But this time, I want you to focus Y as the income. Okay, and income of the people in the whole country have a direct effects on M as an import. Okay, so the way of thinking is like this. When GDP is high, okay, when Y increasing, when GDP is high, it means that people in the country, people in our country, they're gonna have more money, right? Okay, when people have more money, they want to buy more product from the other country. They want to buy more product from the other country. You can imagine import. Import is like we want to buy something that our country we cannot produce. The product from the other country is like a luxury product, a product that we want because we cannot produce it. You can think about China, okay? 30 years ago, 40 years ago, Chinese economy is not so good, right? So, you know, they buy only the product that made in China. Right now, GDP of China increasing a lot. Chinese people become rich, and you can see that Chinese people spending a lot of money to buy many of the products around the world, right? Especially the brand name, right? Okay, so when GDP increasing, people have more money, they're gonna buy more product from the other country. Import is gonna be increasing. When import increasing, it's not good for NX. Trade balance is gonna be lower. Okay, this is the way of thinking. Okay, this is our logic. On the opposite side, okay, on the opposite side, when GDP is bad, people have less money. Of course, when people have less money, they're gonna buy only the product in their country because it's cheap, right? So they're gonna import less. Then NX become increasing. So keep in mind that the changing of Y have effects on NX. If Y increasing, NX going down. If Y decreasing, NX going up. Okay. Next one, NCO. Okay, NCO. Yeah, we know that NCO equal to saving minus investment. We know that we learned before in chapter 2. NCO equal to saving minus investment. Okay, but this time I want you to focus NCO, okay, as the capital. Okay, focus this as a capital. Capital is a money. Okay, capital in this case is not a machine. Capital here is a money. Okay, focusing NCO as the capital or the money that moving, okay, between, okay, between country. Okay, the money that moving between countries. So if we focus NCO as the capital that moving between country, okay, NCO is gonna be high or low depend on the real interest rate. Okay, the real interest rate. Okay, because normally when the capital moving from one country to the other country, they're gonna focus on real interest rate as returns. Okay, as a return on their capital. Okay, for example, if in Thailand, okay, the real interest rate is 1%. In the other country, let's say USA, the real interest rate is like a 3%. So the money gonna move out from Thailand to the other country. The money, okay, or the capital normally gonna move from the low real interest rate to higher real interest rate. Okay, this is what you should know. So the relationship is gonna be like this. When the real interest rate become lower, okay, the return in our country is low. The money gonna flow out to the country that have higher interest rate. When the money flow out, net capital outflow gonna be higher. On the other hand, if the real interest rate become lower, become increasing, it means that the return in our country is high. Everyone, want to flow that capital to our country. The money gonna flow in. When the money flow in, net capital outflow gonna be lower. Okay, here, this is the way of thinking. Okay, this is a way of thinking. Okay, that you should know. Okay, again, Y has the effects on NX. R has the effects on NCO. Okay, keep in mind like that. Then after we know how the way we think, after we know the logic behind BP curve, the logic behind NX, and the logic behind NCO, now we're gonna drawing the graph. Okay, we're gonna drawing the graph. I'm gonna starting with the first case. Okay, this is like a normal case. Okay, case number 1. Okay, high capital mobility country. Okay, high capital mobility country. From now on, I'm gonna write down as a high CM. Okay, CM is come from capital mobility. Okay, so okay, high capital mobility country is mean that the country that the money or the capital can move in, can move out easily, right? Easily without the restriction. So the money, the capital can move in very high, the capital can move out very high. Okay, because it's the country is like very open. Okay, The graph, this is a normal case. The graph is going to be like this. On the horizontal, it's going to be Y. On the vertical, it's going to be R. BP curve is going to be look like this. Okay, it's going up to the right. Okay, the slope is positive. Okay, going up to the right, the slope is positive. This is how BP curve look like. One thing that you should know that every point on BP curve, represent the situation that the money flow in gonna be equal to the money that flow out, or NX equal to NCO. Every point on BP curve, NX always equal to NCO, or money flow in equal to the money that flow out. Starting with point A, for example, point A, GDP equal to Y1, the real interest rate equal to R1. Don't be forget that the GDP have the effects on import and NX. So it means that at the level of the GDP Y1, NX, bracket Y1 equal to NCO, bracket R1. Okay, at the level of the GDP Y1, at the level of the real estate R1, NX equal to NCO at point A. Okay, NX equal to NCO at point A. And then if we have the case of moving along the curve from point A going up to point B, you will see that moving from point A to point B, GDP increasing a lot. GDP increasing a lot. What does it mean? When GDP increasing, people have more money. Remember, people are going to import more. When people import more, NX going to be going down. And point B is stay on BP curve. If NX going down, NCO should be going down too, right? NCO should be going down in the same way. How to make NCO to be going down? NCO is a net capital outflow. If you want NCO to going down, it means that you need to make capital to be flow in to our country more. How to make the money flow into our country? What you have to do is you have to increase the interest rate from R1 to R2. You see that? You have to increase the interest rate from R1 to R2. That can make the capital to flow in to our country. And then if the capital flow in, NCO is going to be going down and it's going to be equal. Okay, it's going to be equal in the end. Okay, here, okay, because the real interest rate needs to be going up. Okay, this is how the BP curve come from and why they have a negative, why they have a positive slope, why it's going up to the right. Okay, because of moving from point A to point B, when GDP increasing and X going down, then the real interest rate need to be increasing a little bit in order to make the capital to flow in, to make NCO going down together with NX. Okay. Then we're gonna go to the second case. The second case is gonna be low capital mobility country or low CM. This is a very rare case. This is like the case of the country like Myanmar, the country like Laos, okay, the country that still close their country, like controlled by the Communist Party, like North Korea, okay? So they have many law, many rules, many restrictions. The money gonna flow in or flow out very difficult, okay? The capital gonna flow into their country very difficult. The capital gonna flow out very difficult. That's why we call it low capital mobility country. Okay. The graph is gonna be look like this. This is Y, O, and R. Okay, we're gonna have the line like this is a BP curve. So you see that this case, the curve is steeper than the first case. The slope is the same, this is positive, but the curve is steeper, okay, steeper. And again, every point on BB curve is represent the situation that the money flow in is gonna be equal to the money that flow out, or NX equal to NCO. Okay, so starting with point A, if a GDP equal to Y1, and the real interest rate, wait. What happened to my pen? Okay, equal to R1, okay. Point A at the GDP equal to Y1, the real interest rate equal to R1 and X equal to NCO. Okay, and X equal to NCO. Okay, and then just like before, if we have the case of moving along the curve, point A to point B, you can see the GDP increasing. Okay, from Y1 to Y2, GDP increasing. When GDP increasing, what does it mean? People have more money, right? People are gonna import more. When people import more, NX gonna become lower. Just like before, when NX become lower, okay, point B stay on BP curve, it means that NX have to be equal to NCO. Moving from point A to point B, NX become lower, so we're gonna have to make NCO to be lower in the same way. How to make NCO to be lower? We need to make the money to flow into our country more. How to make the money to flow into our country more? We need to increasing the real interest rate. Okay, we need to increasing the real interest rate. When the real interest rate of our country increasing, the money gonna start to flow into our country. The capital gonna start to flow into our country. So NCO become lower. The difference between this case and the previous case is this the case of the low capital mobility country, the country that have a lot of restriction. Okay, the capital gonna flow in very hard, very difficult. So it means that you need to increasing a lot of the real interest rate in order to make the money flow in. The first case, you're just increasing real interest rate just a little bit, just a small gaps. The money can flow in easily because there are no restrictions. Okay, it's a high capital mobility country. Increasing the real interest rate just a little bit, the capital gonna flow in. But the case of the low capital mobility country, you need to increase a lot of the real interest rate in order to make the capital to flow into the country. This is a difference. Okay, this is a difference. Next one. Okay, we're gonna go to case number 3. Case number 3 is gonna be the case of perfectly capital mobility country. This is like a free country. The capital can flow in, the capital can flow out without any problem, without any restriction. This is perfectly, okay, perfectly capital mobility. Okay, the graph is gonna be look like this. Y, O, and R. The BP curve is gonna be horizontally like this. Okay, the horizontally like this. Okay, starting with point A. Point A, if the GDP equal to Y1, the real interest rate equal to R1, okay, and X equal to NCO. The case of moving along the curve from point A to point B, as you can see, GDP increasing from Y1 to Y2. Okay, when GDP increasing, people have more money, people are gonna import more, right? And then NX is gonna be lower. Okay, again, A and B stay on BP curve. NX have to be always equal to NCO. When NX become lower, we have to make NCO to be lower in the same way. But in this case, you don't need to increase the real interest rate. Real interest rate just staying there, the same, no change. Okay, no change on real interest rate. You don't need to increase the real interest rate. The money can flow in by themselves because this is a free market. This is a perfectly capital mobility country. Okay, you don't need to increase the real interest rate in order to make the capital to flow in. The capital gonna flow in by themselves because this is the case of perfectly capital mobility. There are no restrictions. The money can freely flow in and flow out by themselves. Okay, you don't need to change the real interest rate. So that's why they have the horizontal curve like this, because you don't need to change the real interest rate. Okay, this is a case of perfectly capital mobility. Okay, then next one. Okay, next one we're gonna talk about the point that above BP curve or the point that stay below BP curve. So this is applied to all of the cases. Okay, high capital mobility country, low capital mobility country, perfectly capital mobility country. Okay, all three cases. Okay, we're gonna apply the idea to all three cases. On the horizontal is Y, on the vertical is R. Okay, let me using the case of high. Okay, we have BP curve like this. Okay, and do you still remember every point on BP curve? For example, point A, Y1, R1. Every point on BP curve, what does it mean? Point A is mean that, okay, the money that flow in equal to the money that flow out, okay, or NX equal to NCO, okay. So the point that stay on BB curve is represent the money flow in equal to the money that flow out, okay. So how about if the point stay above the BP curve, for example, point B. Point B is above BP curve, and you can see that point B is mean that the real interest rate is too high. The real interest rate R2, okay? The real interest rate R2 is too high, higher than normal. When the real interest rate is higher than normal, what does it mean? It means that the return in our country is really high. So then we're gonna have the situation that the money gonna flow in more than the money that's gonna flow out. Okay, so we're gonna have the case of balance of payment become surplus. Okay, the money flow in is greater than the money flow out. Okay, balance of payment becomes surplus because the real interest rate is too high. On the other hand, point C, below BP curve. Every point that stay below the BP curve, for example, point C, the real interest rate is stay at R3. R3, the real interest rate is too low. Okay, the real estate is too low. When the real estate is too low, it means that the return in our country is really low. People gonna move the capital out. The money gonna start to fall out. Okay, then we're gonna have the situation that the money flow out is greater than the money that flow in. So balance of payment become deficit. Okay, balance of payment become deficit. Okay, this is, you should know, okay? The point above BP curve, the balance of payment becomes surplus. Every point that below the BP curve, balance of payment becomes deficit. This all apply, this one applying to all cases. Okay, so far so good. Then next one, we're gonna talk about the factor that can shift the BP curve, and that factor is gonna be E. E, that stands for the nominal, okay, exchange rate. E, which is stand for the nominal exchange rate. Okay, so let's see. Okay, we have Y, O, and R. Okay, I'm gonna bring the case of high capital mobility country. This is a BP curve. Okay, let me write down a little bit steeper. BP curve like this. Okay, for example, I have point A. Point A GDP stay at Y1. The real interest rate stay at R1. Okay, so if the nominal exchange rate going up, if the nominal exchange rate going up, what does it mean? It means that Thai baht becomes strong. When Thai baht becomes strong, NX will be lower, right? Okay, this one you should know. When the nominal exchange rate going up, okay, Thai baht, 1 baht can get more of the foreign currency. Okay, Thai baht becomes strong. When Thai baht becomes strong, everything that made in our country is going to become more expensive. So we're going to export less. Everything that made outside our country is going to become cheaper. So we're going to import more. So net export is going to be lower. Okay. And again, balance of payment, NX have to be equal to NCO, right? When NX become lower, we're going to have to make NCO to be lower in the same way, right? How to make NCO to be lower? We're going to have to make the capital to flow in to our country more. How to make the money to flow in? We need to increase the real interest rate. Okay, that's why BB curve gonna shift up parallelly. Okay, BB curve gonna shift up parallelly because GDP is the same, but we need to increasing the real interest rate from A to B, from R1 to R2. Okay, from R1 to R2. Okay. On the other hand, exchange to the red color, if the nominal exchange rate going down, it means that Thai baht become weak. When Thai baht become weak, we can export more and import less, and X will be increasing. If NX increasing, we have to make NCO to be increasing in the same way. How to make NCO to be increasing? How to make the capital to flow out? We need to lower the real interest rate down. That's why BP curve gonna shift down. Okay, changing from point A to point C, the real interest rate going down from R1 to R3. Okay, just like that. So you can see that from here, the changing of the nominal exchange rate can shift the balance of payment, BP curve. Okay. However, it's gonna affect only two cases. Okay. Okay, again, we have three cases, right? Okay, here, this is a BP curve, Y, O, and R. This is the case of perfectly capital mobility. This is a high capital mobility. And this is low capital mobility. Okay, we have three cases. Okay, the nominal exchange rate, okay, affects the high capital mobility country. It can shift BP curve up, it can shift BP curve down. The nominal exchange rate affects the low capital mobility country. It can shift BP curve up, it can shift BP curve down. However, for the case of perfectly capital mobility country, the nominal exchange rate have no effects. Okay, because for the country that have a perfectly capital mobility, they don't need to change their real interest rate. Real interest rate always be the same. Okay, so the BB curve for the case of perfectly capital mobility, they don't have to shift. Okay, the nominal exchange rate cannot shift the BB curve on that case. That's it. Okay. So then we're done with everything you should know about BP curve. So we're gonna bring everything together. So we're gonna have ISLM and BP, the complete model. Now we have the complete model, which we can apply to open economy country. Okay. So let's drawing the graph. Okay. We're gonna have here IS, LM, BP. This is Y, O, and R. The equilibrium point E1, R1, and Y1. This is a case of perfectly capital mobility country. And we have O, Y, and R. We have IS, LM, BP curve, equilibrium point 1, Y1, R1. This is a case of high capital mobility country. And the last one, we have IS curve, LM curve, and BP curve. Okay, equilibrium point 1, Y1, R1. So you can see that the difference between the last one is a low capital mobility country. The difference between three cases is about the slope of BP curve. Okay, it's just about the slope of BP curve. IS and LM is the same. Okay, it's the same. Okay, so the difference between perfectly capital mobility country, high capital mobility country, and low capital mobility country is just the slope of the BP curve. And the slope of BP curve represent how we gonna have to change the real interest rate in order to make the money flow in equal to the money that flow out. Okay, okay, that's it. That's it. So in conclusion, we have IS, LM, and BP model. Okay, which we can apply into open economy country. Okay, and the great thing of ISLM and BP model, because they are represent equilibrium. Okay, they are represent equilibrium in three markets in the same times. Okay, the first one is represent equilibrium, okay, in output market. Remember that total expenditure equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. This one represented by IS curve, right? Okay, and 2 is represent equilibrium in money market, right? Money demands equal to money supply. And this one represented by LM curve, right? And the last one is represent, okay, the balance of payment, BP. Okay, balance of payment is the money that flow in equal to the money that flow out, or NX equal to NCO. Okay, NX equal to NCO. So it's represent three equilibrium in the same times. Okay, the equilibrium point in ISLM and BP model, the point that IS curve intersect with LM curve, intersect with BP curve, is represent equilibrium in output market in the same times with the equilibrium in money market in the same time that represent the money that flow in equal to the money that flow out. So this is a strength point of the ISLM and BP model. Okay. Yeah, it's all for today. Okay. So before you go, I'm gonna give you homework 10. I want you to review about the situation of the shift market, okay, in the world right now. Okay, this is very interesting and important. I want you to watch the YouTube and write down 2 pages in PDF and submit it here. Okay, give you 1 week. Okay, submit it before midnight of the next Tuesday night, September 20. Okay, okay, so that's it for today. And we're gonna see each other again on Friday. One thing that I want to tell you that we're gonna see each other again on Friday, and then I'm gonna give you the makeup class on Saturday afternoon. Okay, I'm gonna tell you the time again. We're gonna have the makeup class on Saturday afternoon. So we're gonna have the class on this Friday and Saturday afternoon. And next week, no class. Next week I have a work to do in Bangkok. Okay, I have the conference in Bangkok. So next week, no class. So this week we're gonna have Friday and Saturday. Okay, and next week, no class. So that's it. Any question? Okay, good. So see you on Friday. Bye-bye.